This video is going to be all about engaging your readers. Welcome to my channel, I'm BD Grant. This video I'm going to be talking about how to properly engage your readers to hopefully keep them as lifelong fans. Now, as writers, we always want to provide the most interesting storyline and plots to get our readers hooked, and how we do that is quite literally by giving them hooks. This will be either presenting a very interesting situation in your scenes, or giving your readers like a hint or a very big hint about maybe a mystery, maybe like something that happened to your character in their past, something very dark or something they don't ever talk about, to make your reader want to know who your character is, where are they coming from, what happened to them in the past to make them this way, or how they ended up in this situation. Presenting itself like in a scene could be like your character walks into the lunchroom, and a minor hook would be them seeing their best friend sitting with a kid that they both despise. So what's going to happen? Why is that friend sitting there with that enemy? What is your character going to do about it? That can be a minor hook that you put, and you should have minor hooks in every single chapter. You want to not only engage your readers, but you want to kind of capture them every time they read a new chapter. And along the way, you are feeding them information to not only keep them interested with the hooks, but also answering some of the initial hooks that you may have had. So you cannot present them with a hook. So like with a big question, like, you know, who killed this person? How did this dead body get here? Without actually answering them. So anything that you may have caused your reader to question, you want to answer at one point or another. So your major hook, you will typically hopefully have started that, if not at the very beginning of your book, then within the first few chapters, and then your ending of your book will wrap all of those minor hooks up along with your major hook. And like I said, with each chapter, you want to give them little tidbits of hooks where in that chapter they are getting some of that satisfying feeling of being fed some of the answers to their questions. So in my first novel, A Place Worth Living, my very first chapter, I give you minor hooks and major hooks. And how I do this is I introduce my main character, Taylor, and you find out very quickly that she has kept a secret her whole life from everyone around her. Then you find out that she can tell when someone is lying to her, and you actually see this happen in the response that she has to it. Sorry, my kid is homesick today, so you will hear random noises behind me in the other room. The major hook that I give you within the very first chapter is that Taylor, my main character, witnesses her father being kidnapped along with her good friend Jake and his parents. So multiple people get taken. She witnesses this from a distance, and you don't know who these people are that are taking them, why they are taking these, you know, this regular family and her father, and you don't know where they're going. So you are left wondering all of these questions at the end of the chapter, so that your readers will want to continue with your book. If you cannot capture them within the first chapter, you are not going to capture them. And I, as a reader myself, feel this way. Within the first couple of pages, honestly, if I'm not being driven forward to want to read more, if I don't find anything very captivating, I find that I maybe get to, at most, like 2.5 chapters in, and then I just put the book down. A lot of the books that I find disinteresting are ones where they just are trying to build this world. Maybe it's like a different era, different time period, a different planet, where they're spending so much time just describing what's around them that they aren't actually starting to get to the plot until later on in the book, and I just lose interest. So even if it's really like almost like poetry with how they describe things, I do find it very beautiful, but it does not keep me reading long term. So whenever we give hooks, you want to give a hook fairly quickly, even if it's just a minor hook, like, you know, you find something mysterious going on or something weird, and you want to figure out exactly what the explanation behind that is, not necessarily like who killed this person, or you finding like a dead body, or, you know, witnessing something crazy at the very beginning. You want to use like some kind of mystery to your advantage to keep your readers going. You can even give minor hooks through like emotion or intrigue, where maybe your character feels like something is not right. A lot of writers use this because we all kind of have that sixth sense. Like if we get around someone kind of creepy, even though we may not know them or they may look like a normal person, you just kind of get that bad vibe. Well, as a reader reading that experience of your character, they want to know kind of a background. Like, is something about to happen to this person? Are you going to tell us what, you know, this mystery character has done? That kind of thing. So even just like in sensation, you can use, you know, hearing, seeing, smelling, all that kind of stuff to give your readers a little hook. So where they want to, you know, you're walking through the woods and all of a sudden the birds stop chirping. Okay, well, what's going on? Is there something around your character? Is your character the one causing this silence? And this will draw your readers in to continue to read and figure out exactly what's going on. You just have to actually feed their curiosity. You cannot continue to draw things out without giving them either a very interesting scene where there's like some action, that kind of thing. You have to feed that curiosity instead of just continuing to make the curiosity grow and grow. I've seen this where you think, oh, you figured out who the bad guy is, you know, halfway through, and then you realize that that person isn't what you think they are, or that, you know, you find out that that person wasn't even in the area when said crime was committed. So even if you're kind of drawing them down a different path than where you know you're going to end up, they want to feel a little bit satisfied with every chapter, along with getting more hooks and more questions that they are forming by the end of each chapter that keeps them wanting to read into the next. The biggest tip for engaging your readers is to give them interesting hooks that will capture them and draw them forward. If you are not giving your readers hooks very early on, you will lose your readers. If you are not developing your scenes, world building as you go, and it's not like common day right now, this time period, you will also lose people because they want to actually kind of know their surroundings. So this is another little piece, not to dwell on every little meticulous thing, but to give them enough of a placement where they see where they're at, where they can draw their own questions about things that are happening to the characters in those scenes. So you want to engage, capture, and feed your readers, and mostly in that order. So engage them by giving them those big, interesting hooks, continuing to capture their interest by giving them the minor hooks, giving them interesting characters and scenes to read about, feeding them by answering all of the questions that you have posed throughout your story. You want it to be satisfying, not necessarily like a super happy ending, but you want them to not feel like they're left with, you know, a huge amount of questions, unless you were writing like a series or a serial of novellas. But a standalone book should wrap up everything. And if you have a book that you really love, especially one that you've read more than once because you liked it that much, I always suggest going back and reading it through the writer's eye and actually look at exactly how each chapter, each character, they are using these same techniques to draw you in and to keep you reading. I really like going back and seeing like my favorite writers, exactly how their style is with how they develop certain characters, how they are feeding us little tidbits of background stories throughout, so that by the end we feel like we know so much about these people, like they are part of us, and that the stories themselves are so satisfying that we even enjoy going back and reading it a second, a third, or a fourth time. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit the like button. Definitely subscribe if you would like to see more. I post videos twice a week by the end of the week. Any comments, leave those below. If you need to email me, I have my personal email on my About page on YouTube. And I hope to see you again soon.